So each phase has a number of stages. There's 8 total stages, hence the title of the workshop. So here are the 8 stages. We'll go into each one of them in detail. The first one's the planning stage. That's the one that everybody skips. But what did they tell you up here tonight? That's the most important part. You need to have an idea of what needs to be going on within a week or so of that project. You can always plan out about 2 weeks out. So we've got a spreadsheet that you'll be able to download on our website after the workshop is over that has a phased rehab schedule that you can use. It's not super fancy, it's in Excel, but it works. And it will give you a good starting point so that you can lay out the job every single week by phases, by stages, and you know about how much the labor is going to cost you, how much your materials are going to cost you, so that you can stay on track. All right, the second stage is demolition. We can go through these. I'm going to touch on each one. Then you've got exterior roughing and framing. You've got drywall, tile, and painting, cabinets, cases, and bases, fixtures, final electric and plumbing, paint, carpet and doors, and then the last 10%. You'll have plenty of time to write these down, so don't worry. I'll be going into each one of them individually. All right. The first stage is the planning stage. The planning stage is very, very important. It allows you to have a plan for the rehab, because you have to have some type of a plan. We got your budget written down? Oh, it's up. I got it up in my head. I know, I'm good. Okay. I just got to dump out that big box of receipts at the end to see how I did. On average, if you just let the rehab just kind of go on its own, you're going to go over $10,000. That's it. You're going to go over $10,000 at least. Because $500 here, $1,000 there, $750 here, $10,000 is what you're going to go over. Guys, we sold over 600 houses. We have the data. We've seen it. We've talked to the people. I've had many beers over at Mio's with people who went $10,000 over in their rehab. Because what you need to have is a plan, because it allows you to have this. If you have a model and you want to take some creative liberties, you at least have your model to kind of hold you where you need to be. So you got your plan. You might deviate a little bit, but you got it. But if you have no plan at all, then this is what it looks like. You're all over the place. Even if it's just halfway written down somewhere, it's better than nothing at all. Now, if you want to go to the route that the investors who are really doing it go, is that they go in and they scope out the entire job. We'll do a whole breakdown. We'll do a whole workshop just on that. We'll go over budgeting. We'll go over how to scope out the whole job. You basically go room by room and you write down every single thing that needs to be done. It takes a long time. But if you do it, your rehab won't take twice as long. And you won't go over $10,000. So if taking one day to do that is worth $10,000 to you, you should do it. If it's not, then you can pay me $5,000 and I'll come do it for you. So guys, you have to learn from experience. If you can't learn from experience, if not from experience, then from those with experience. That's what we want to do. We want to help you out. If you're new at this, we want to help you do this. Because if you make money, when you make money, you'll come back and you'll buy your next house from us. See how that works? We're kind of all in this together. All right, so what do you do in the planning stage? Talked a lot about scoping it out, but you need to establish a budget. This is what your budget looks like. So your budget has all these different items. You can write them down if you want to. I don't know if you have time, but these are the budget items that we put out on every single house that we sell. So if you're getting our email updates or you register on the website, you look at any of our packets, this is the budget that we use. Is it the right way? It's a way. If you're doing nothing at all, then it's better than your way. There's no right or wrong way to do the budget. It's just a budget. It's not good, it's not bad. It's cold outside. That's not good or bad. It's just cold outside, right? This is the budget. Whatever you decide how you want to divide your budget up, that's fine. This is how we do it. So there are 12 different categories. So that's the first thing you want to do is establish your budget. The second thing you want to do is you want to start lining up your contractor bids. So remember, you want to remember that doing things in the right order. You want to have your budget first, and then you want to get your bids. Rocket science? I remember the first time, my first rehab I ever did, I bought it for $7,000. A lot of you know the story. It was awful. It was the hardest 6 months of my life rehabbing this house by myself. And I got a bid from a hardwood refinishing company out of, this is in Wilmington. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how much it cost to have hardwood refinished. It could have been, I had no idea. And it was one room, okay? And it was a small house, so it was probably like a 12 by 12 room, that's it. And I got 2 bids. One of them was $4,000. That seems expensive. Then I got another bid, like, it was one room. Another bid, he came in a little bit less though, $2,200. And I almost took it. Because I'm like, I guess that's how much it costs. Just to refinish. So if I had a budget and if I knew exactly what I was doing, if I bought that first house by myself, like I didn't know anything. I didn't hire him. Because I discovered something called Pergo that I can put down myself. So, line up your contractor bids. Make sure you have your budget first so that you know how much you want to spend on each thing. Then you source your materials and your selections. You want to have the whole thing selected out already from the beginning. You just want to know, okay, these are the type of finishes I want to have. Just go to Home Depot. You can put together lists. You can do all kinds of stuff. Just get a basic idea of what this stuff's going to cost. So then finally, you want to establish a timeline for your completion. So these are the 4 things that you need to do during the planning stage. Let me review them again. So you want to establish your budget, source your materials and your selections, get a timeline. A good general rule of thumb for a timeline is this. The investors that are really moving things along, they get about $10,000 worth of work done a week. You're not there. 5,000 would be great. But where you want to think as a new investor is about $3,000 a week. That's about where you're going to live. And that's good. Don't let it drift down to $1,500 a week. So we talk about your rate of rehab. So if the job is a $30,000 estimate for the work, then you should be thinking about 10 weeks. $3,000 a week. Make sense? You know what that allows you to do? You ever heard beginning with the end in mind? So if you say, all right, well, I want to make X amount of dollars by the end of the year, then say, okay, well, if I want to collect that check by October 1st, you start there and then you back it up. And you say, okay, well, I'm going to need about 45 days to close after I sell it. I'm going to need about this many days on market. Then I'm going to need this much time to do the rehab. Right? So you're judging the time frame based on how big the rehab is. So instead of just saying, oh, well, that's a big job. Well, no, it doesn't fit in my time frame. You have to have a timeline. All right, so that's phase 1. Or sorry, stage 1. The first stage is the planning. I spent a lot of time on that. You should spend a lot of time on that too. The planning. The cool thing about the planning part, when do you do the planning? When? Before you close. It's free time. These guys that were up here talking earlier, they use our financing. Our financing is easy, but it's not cheap. So they do all their planning before they're paying any interest. Why not? Have it so it's all ready to go. The whole thing. Then, when you close, you go on to the second stage, which is demolition. If you want to do the demo yourself, that's fine. I'll point out a couple things that aren't terrible if you decide to do on your own. You might do it one time and decide that that's probably the last time you'll ever do it again, but demolition is the first thing you should do. And demolition means getting rid of anything that's not going to be in the final finished product of the house.